just a quick introduction of myself. I run the NTU NBS Alumni Association as a VP for Continuous Learning. So let me just introduce and hand this time to Adam and Arti.
My name is Arti. I'm a talent leader, and I've spent a large part of my career in the human resources profession. I'm also a mum of 3 kids, or should I say, in this current environment, homeschooler of 3 kids. And I'm sure there's many nodding faces on this webinar as we all navigate this time. And I lead the customer success team here at LinkedIn. And my colleague Adam is our social impact leader at LinkedIn, and he's really passionate about diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And as Beyond shared, he's part of our sales solution team here as well. So what I just shared with you and what you see on the screen here is actually how you'll experience us on LinkedIn. These are each of our LinkedIn headlines, which we use to project ourselves on the platform in a holistic way, so that LinkedIn members can actually better understand both our passion and our profession. And we'll talk more about LinkedIn headlines later. I want to start by taking you through some tips on how you can build your LinkedIn profile. So let's start with the difference between your profile and your resume, which is a question that we all get very often. How do you differentiate between the two? Well, your resume or your CV is your key job application tool. And so it should tell your professional story simply. And the other thing that we always need to remember about our resumes is that the formatting needs to be straightforward. So it's actually accepted into all the software that organizations use to screen job applications. But our LinkedIn profiles, on the other hand, are actually more than just a job application tool. They are our entry into our professional network, so we can actually make these a lot more colorful and dynamic. And our LinkedIn profiles should unpack our passion for our line of work and detail more of the ins and outs of how we move through the various roles that we've had. And you can even add extra information such as your volunteer experience, published work, and involvement with organizations. When we write resumes, we know that there is more of a degree of formality, and also we have to be really succinct because recruiters generally scan these documents to get everything they need to understand more about your professional experience in just a few seconds. So while you still need to present your career narrative in a resume, you have to do it very succinctly, normally bullet points in far fewer words. And also, we can actually tailor resumes to the jobs that we apply for, while we only have one LinkedIn profile that we project out to our network, which needs to be more holistic and appeal to a wider audience. So now we understand a little bit about the difference between the two. Let's talk about profile photos, which we don't normally put on a resume, but which are really important on our LinkedIn profile. So I had this really awful incident a few years ago when someone met me for the first time, and they immediately said, "Oh, I checked you out on LinkedIn beforehand and you actually look nothing like your profile photo." And I got to say, even saying it now, that was one of those really embarrassing moments. And the reason it was so embarrassing was because I had a photo up on my LinkedIn profile from about 10 years ago when I thought I looked better, younger, and also wrinkle-free. And that moment was definitely a big reminder to myself to ensure that I choose a more realistic profile photo. And photos are really important on LinkedIn, and note to self, current photos are important too. Photos are actually our first opportunity to build trust with the other person that you may not know and you may not have a deep personal relationship with. And we know that people with a profile photo get many more views and connection requests on the platform as well. And why is this? Well, let's actually look at the psychology of it. So when we show our face, it actually tells people that we're not afraid to connect and show up. And without a photo, we're actually creating a bit of a barrier, because as human beings, we're all wired for connection. And so being able to look into someone's eyes, either for real or even through a photo, actually deepens this trust and connection. I also find, on a very practical note, that I often check LinkedIn before I'm about to interview someone or before I'm meeting someone new at a networking event or for coffee. So there's that practical part of being able to recognize someone as well. But we also get asked the question, well, does my photo have to be professional? Do I have to go and hire a professional photographer to get it taken? Absolutely not. Your photo doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be authentic and tell your professional community who you are. And these days, we know that most of our smartphones actually have a great portrait filter. And really, that's all you need. So if you're snapping it on your own, just make sure that the photo that you're posting is high res, and that as you're taking the photo, you have good lighting. And also, as you see in this slide, that it just features you. And just a fun fact, that LinkedIn even has photo filters that you can use to polish your photo. When I introduced Adam and I at the beginning, I briefly touched on our LinkedIn headlines. Now, what is a headline? Your headline is actually the text that goes just under your name on your LinkedIn profile. And headlines should represent your professional brand, which is the brand that you want to project to your network. And as I said at the beginning, they should capture both your passion and your profession. And why are headlines really important to get right? Well, they determine whether someone will reach out to you, and also whether the LinkedIn search algorithm, which determines the searches you may show up in, will actually bring you up in those searches. So in a headline, we have about 120 characters to make an impact. So of course, the obvious one is to say what your job title is, but you can also use the remaining characters for your most important hard skills, your specializations, your passions, or your goals. And what you see in this slide is two really great examples here from Jack and Linda, who are both NTU alumni. And when I look at them and I reflect on them, I actually think they give a really great snapshot of both Jack and Linda's passion and profession, because they talk about who they are, what they do, and what's most important to them as well. Now that you have a complete profile, let me hand it back over to Adam, who will talk to you about how to use your profile to connect to opportunities.
Thank you so much, Arti. So as Arti mentioned, now you should have a standout profile on LinkedIn. So let's take a look at the ways in which you can leverage your network on LinkedIn to connect to more opportunities. We will discuss in this section a bit more about how you can reach out to people on LinkedIn, what you should say, and also provide you with some relevant examples. So the quick answer is, if you should reach out to anyone on LinkedIn, yes, you should reach out to anyone and everyone. But let's also be really strategic about this. You want to reach out to people whom you have things in common with. Perhaps someone who is Singaporean and is living in the US, and you want to understand how you can make that move as well. Reaching out to people with jobs you want or in companies you want to work for is a great way to understand that job or if that company is indeed the best fit for you. Reach out to ask for help. There are many people out there who are in the position to help you achieve your goals, so use them. A great way to do this is also through LinkedIn's Career Advice Hub. This feature on LinkedIn matches you with people in your preferred industry who you can seek advice from. And just like you, they have also said yes to giving advice on the platform, so they're more likely to respond to you. Now, what do you say to them? You want to introduce yourself. You want to also share with them how you came across their profile. And most importantly, you want to share with them what you hope to achieve from a conversation with them. So here are some examples. The first one is how you can reach out to people to ask for informal interviews. In this example, you can see Kate asking Erin for an informal interview to gain more advice on her career path, but to also learn about the communications industry. This is a great way to understand the role and the type of work you'll be involved in. You can also reach out to people to get referred into a company that you'd like to work with. Kate here is asking Seth for a referral. While she's doing this, she can also get a better understanding of the company, the culture, and what they might be looking for internally. A top tip is to be clear with what you're asking and make it easy for the person to say yes. I'll share with you a little bit more in this section, in this portion, on how we can search for jobs, create alerts. That's how I got my job at LinkedIn, remember? And follow companies. The product team at LinkedIn are constantly making improvements to our platform and interface to make sure that you have the best and easiest experience on LinkedIn. When you're looking for a job, use keywords to narrow down your searches. For example, if you're looking for jobs in the fintech industry, use fintech in your keyword search. And use typical job titles that you have as well. Don't worry, because LinkedIn will pick up similar roles. So what I mean by that is, if you're looking for account manager roles and you just put account manager in the titles, LinkedIn will also, the algorithm will also pick up sales rep roles, business development manager roles, sales manager roles, anything that would be related to that particular role as well. Now, other popular filters include companies, functions, experience levels, and locations, creating search alerts. Remember how I said when I was applying for my job at LinkedIn, I got a job alert? You can do exactly the same. Creating alerts for specific roles in specific countries and even companies you may be interested in is the best way for you to also stay up to date with the different open jobs we have. So my alert, my search alert was sales at LinkedIn in Singapore, London, or Dublin. So if you're actively looking for jobs, set these alerts for daily. And if you're not, you can set them for weekly or monthly. But fret not, even if you're setting them for weekly or monthly, you will get a consolidated list from the week or the month. So you won't be missing out on any opportunity. Now, you also want to follow companies that you're interested in. This should be companies that interest you or inspire you, and you should also follow companies you like to work for. You can learn more about the company on their live page, where it will share more about what it's like to work for the company, its culture, and what sort of jobs the company is currently hiring for. Now, here's a fun fact for all of you. Recruiters are able to filter specifically for candidates who follow their company page, because this indicates interest for their companies.
We have 675 million members on the platform. So that is a huge audience that you can influence through posting. Posting with some sort of image grabs more attention. So if I'm posting about company culture, I'll often add in a picture from the office or from a particular event that I feel captures the essence of what I'm saying. The second tip is that I find timing of posts does matter. So I generally find that weekdays are better than weekends, because more members are spending time on the platform on weekdays and are thus more likely to be able to see your posts. Thirdly, which you see on these two examples in the slide, use hashtags. And as you can see from my International Women's Day post, which is the post on the left, I actually use the hashtag each for equal on this post. And what does that mean? So essentially, anyone who's searching for content on the platform under that hashtag, whether or not they're in my network, would be able to see this post. So essentially, it allows your posts to reach a far wider audience. I'll hand back over to Fionn to close us off and to kick off our Q&A.
I have been out of work for a period of time now due to unsuccessful job search. How should I address or explain the gap on LinkedIn?
My belief is that we should always be open. There's actually no shame in anything. And that what you really want to do is to tell your story. So if there is that gap in your experience, I also believe there's never quite a gap, because when we aren't working, we are still building transferable skills through different ways. And so take that opportunity to actually just explain, how did you use your time? What kind of skills did you build? Because it's also a reflection of resilience and being able to shift yourself in different ways. So I think the important thing is to tell the story and be open about it, because otherwise a recruiter is going to go through it and then start asking questions or coming to their own conclusions as well. So I think you want to be open about it and really focus on those transferable skills that you're building in that interim period.
Keen to take a gap year, how should I update this on LinkedIn?
I think we see a lot of people taking gap years for what we call sabbaticals on LinkedIn. And as Artie and Fionn mentioned earlier, just be open, be honest about it. A lot of people just put their stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom on their profile, or just simply put their on sabbatical, traveling the world. You can be creative with this one. I think if it's something you want to do, go ahead and be honest and put it on your profile as well.
And how often should I review and change my summary?
I would say just make sure you're regularly looking at it. Your LinkedIn profile is your always on reflection of who you are and the experience you have. So maybe just get in a habit of once a month, just going into it and just checking in and saying, what else have I learned this month? What else can I put in here to just enhance my profile?
I've got testimonies from my ex-boss and business partner. Would it be appropriate to upload the testimonies that they've given to me, especially if my ex-boss's testimony did mention my retrenchment? Will it work to my disadvantage?
So testimonials are fantastic. I love the use of them on LinkedIn because they continue to give other people's perspective on you. So they really deepen your brand that you project on the platform. If your ex-boss's testimonial, if you're not comfortable with that, you can actually speak to them about it before it's published. So when someone writes a testimonial for you, you will actually get to review that before it is published. And I've had that instance before as well, where, you know, I've had to actually have a conversation with someone to say, you know, can we just tweak this in a different way? It's not saying that you don't want to tell the truth, but at the end of the day, this is going to be public and out there on your platform. So you want to make sure you are completely comfortable with what's on your platform. So I would encourage you in this instance to have a conversation with your ex-boss, just to really think about how you want to project the time that you work there through that testimonial.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Adam and Artie, is there any last few words that you want to share with the audience?
Start posting on LinkedIn. I'm really excited to see all those connection requests coming in, as well as all the content and pictures. So just start getting active on the platform, and hopefully it lands you your next dream job.
And
Yes.
I would say the same. I know there's a question about how do you maintain relationships after connecting with people. Actually posting on the platform is your best way, because I find every time I post, I become top of mind for people in my network. So it's a great way of getting in the mind space of the people within your network. Do connect with all of us and look forward to seeing your posts and activity, and for you to come top of mind for us on the platform.